do you know what this is?
It is some lovely ladies working in a field, digging
Yes.
perhaps? Is that a trench?
No, field. Any idea what torppari means? You don't. This is torppari, Finnish word.
Oh, well, am I going to know the answer to that?
What is sharecropping?
Is it where you have a big farmland but you like share it? I don't.
Yes.
Okay.
So torppari is Finnish sharecropping, where some wealthy man owns the land and you work on the fields as a payment for using the land. So you give the landlord food that you create because you don't own the land yourself.
Okay.
How is this related to IT?
Or is it that I don't own the social network, but I pay for it with my data? Is that where you're going to come in with this?
Yes.
First time. Excellent.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Yes. Zuckerberg hasn't produced a single post. Yes, he has, but let's go with the analogy. On video, photo, or on Facebook. So who is actually creating all the value for the platform?
Me.
Yes. And that's the topic for today. It's called digital sharecropping. This is actually surprisingly old analogy I found on a blog. So the analogy that we live in the digital sharecropping age is from an American writer called Nicholas Carr from 2006.
Okay, that's pretty early in the old history of social media there. That's prior to Facebook, isn't it? I think Facebook was like 2008, 2009, something like that.
Was it? Was it 2004?
I don't think so. I think maybe the original whatever it was book of
Facebook was started in 2004.
Was it? Well, was it a mass market thing though? Or was it just Zuckerberg's first version where it was just for his college?
Yeah, it was Harvard only, for the Harvard only, like the social network for the Harvard school.
Right.
And then it started to expand to other universities in 2005. So wait, when did that go public? Just out of interest.
Yep.
2006.
Oh, I got that wrong then. Sorry.
So directly, the same year as Facebook went public, the American writer correctly saw the analogy that Facebook owner Zuckerberg will not produce any content on Facebook. He will not produce any value to the company. It's all the sharecroppers doing the work. Yeah, pretty much that's the question. If Zuckerberg doesn't produce anything and we are doing all the work, how is this any different than sharecropping from 200 years ago? 200 years ago.
Well, I suppose it isn't.
Yeah, pretty much, but like...
Except I don't get any nice taters out of it.
Yeah, we don't get anything out of it. Just that we can share our family pictures with our friends and so on. But Zuckerberg gets the billions.
Yes, and I'm guessing this is the teaser you mentioned in the last episode where my friends were basically training the AI by putting a nice convenient square around my face and...
Yeah, so that's actually the question I was about to ask you next, that what do we gain out of this?
Well, playing devil's advocate, an auto-tagging feature, I suppose, but that's about it. No taters.
Yeah, yes.
AI can be a funny thing. It can mislead you in funny ways.
Yeah, so...
Hey, that's one thing you got out of it, the AI you're using right now. There's your taters.
Yeah, we can see it like that. Yeah, actually, interesting point. That the open source AI models wouldn't also exist without feeding the landlords.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that's a nice little bit of devil's advocate there. I like GLM5 and Minimax M2.5.
Yeah.
And GPT OSS.
Yeah, but that ends humanity in any case. Even with the open source models, humans are not needed anymore. But so if we are all digital sharecroppers, what would actual digital homesteading look like? That we are not dependent on the Zuckerberg landlord.
Well, I mean, you could look at that in a few ways, couldn't you? I mean, we could have our own plot of digital land where we do our own digital stuff. One thing that I could think of that might be analogous might be hosting a Mastodon instance or something like that. I don't know if I could come up with any better examples, but yeah, that's the idea of this channel, that you are in control of your digital land and you work that digital soil and you get and those digital taters are all yours.
Yeah, no digital landlord is reaping all your profits That's why I was like so delighted when I saw this blog post, because this is like directly to our podcast. But 20 years ago, this analogy was made. And the other thing that comes to mind is the federated Nextclouds. We actually should try, like when you get your Nextcloud up, that we should try make a federated Nextcloud.
Yeah.
Because Nextcloud can work as a Facebook pretty much. And I can run my federated Nextcloud with your Nextcloud, and we could share our family pictures without the problem of feeding the AI beast in terms of service changing. Of course, the problem from our previous episode, you can change the terms of service.
Yeah. Is that a feature in Nextcloud? Can we throw terms of service at each other?
Yeah. Of course it is.
I'm going to abuse that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can share Nextcloud like pictures between Nextcloud instances, and you can put terms of service and everything. But then you are the landlord. You are not the sharecropper anymore.
Yeah, suppose so. Good.
Yeah.
Is it better than Mastodon though? Like, wouldn't it be better to just host a Mastodon?
Well, Mastodon is only for chatting, but Nextcloud is everything.
Isn't Mastodon? It's kind of like an open source Twitter, isn't it? It's like a it's like a little Twitter.
Yeah. It's only for chatting, but Nextcloud is everything that Google can do. Google through it. Mm-hmm. Like you can have your files, and you can have your money tracking, and you can have your cookbook, and it doesn't need to be everything public. It's only public what you want to share.
Yep. Stay tuned, viewers, for when we very awkwardly set up my Nextcloud.
Yes. So an interesting question after all our episodes, is choosing open source a moral choice? Or is it just a practical one?
Well, yeah, I would say so, yes. I mean, one thing that we mentioned in the previous episode was that, you might say no to Google Cloud backups, but, your mates might opt into it, and then it makes no difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it creates a level of trust between people that actually know each other again.
Yeah, and choosing open source, is it moral or practical one? I think also it's both, because it's about freedom and it's about rejecting the exploitation. Mm-hmm. Yes. You have the transparency of back to the analogy, look at the previous episode. You go back to the transparency of the cart going to fish market. You don't need to have blind trust of the multinational corporations that can change the service terms of service at any point. And I think it has very many moral and real-world implications and benefits. And I have never thought about open source projects about a moral choice. But it's
really?
Pretty much...
That surprises me. You're an even bigger zealot than I am.
Yeah, because I always thought about it about a geopolitical perspective. That I don't want to be exploited in 20 years when someone changes the terms of service. But I'm not like Friedrich Stallman. Who was Friedman Stallman?
Richard Stallman.
Richard Stallman.
The high priest.
Yes. The high priest of free and open source. That's the difference. I know the arguments, but that has never been the main issue for me. The main issue for me has always been that I see the Zuckerberg can end the world because everyone is putting their family pictures on Facebook. But yeah, and that's the real world benefits is that we are not feeding Zuckerberg.
The Zuck must eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have I was going to say against my better judgment, but I didn't have that better judgment when I bought it. I have a Meta Quest 3, right? And you know what that thing does, right?
It's watching your eyes.
No. That's the Pro. That's the Pro one that no one bought because the price to value is just not very good. But it's doing augmented reality, okay? And so in order to do that, it has to not only see the contents of your room, but it's also going to create like a 3D mesh, like a 3D like layer. A 3D map of your room. Yeah, so that the Pokemon can jump onto your bed and you can give it little strokies and stuff. And so I've been planting mad taters. Like I've been planting vegetables that I'm going to regret.
Yeah. You are starting to Zuckerberg a new way of exploiting the sharecroppers.
I've been plotting exotic veggies from other climates. So that's
That's actually a very good point. Bring that up in the special episode.
No. He's been. We teased this special episode a lot, dear viewer, but I have no idea yet what he's planning, and I've got a feeling that it's going to be pretty spooky.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, but bit simpler question. For someone listening right now, what are the simple steps that he can do this week to stop being a digital sharecropper?
Turn the computer off and go outside and
That's some
run.
grass.
Okay, so what can you do to stop being a digital sharecropper? Good question. Are we counting just don't use social media in that? Is that what
Of
we're going to
course,
say?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, well, yeah, just don't use it then. I don't know what else to tell you. Or if you are going to, don't post pictures of yourself, but that kind of defeats the point. You see, this is kind of a hard thing, really, because, I don't know how many people will ever see this, but if you are a young single guy, what do we say to that guy? I mean, I remember a friend of mine saying to me, he never had Facebook. He avoided it the whole time, like all the way through high school, all the way through college, and then partway into university, and he was, out looking for love. And he spoke to a girl and said, "Oh yeah, if you don't have social media, it's a huge turnoff because we want to kind of like look through your history if we're going to go on a date with you because it gives us some reassurance that you don't have a basement full of corpses."
Yeah, that's
what do you say to that guy? I don't know what to tell that guy.
Yeah, we are locked in the digital share economy, feeding Zuckerberg.
Yeah, maybe I think we need to do an episode. I mean, Nextcloud's good as well. We'll do both, but I also want to do a Mastodon instance because I had some of my own plans around doing a Mastodon instance. So, maybe if you can be that shepherd of the digital homestead or the digital sheep field, whatever, sharecropper, if you're prepared to take that on, you could be the guy that's saving all your friends and family from the depths of hell.
But there will come back to that trust us problem. That then your family and friends need to trust you not to do stupid things with their family pictures.
Yeah.
And why would your school friends, especially women, your girls at your school, join your private cloud?
That's true. But at the very least, I suppose I can just whip out my Mastodon and show them my pictures. But I don't know, it's better than... aren't Mastodons actually federated as well? Like, you can give people access, yeah. So, I don't know, is that better? Is that better than the alternative?
And then, when your girlfriend... What?
Hit by a bus factor. Like, I'm the one managing the Mastodon, but then bus hits me, and then everyone's got to go back. And Zuck's there, like...
Yeah, yes. That your girlfriend candidate joins your federated Facebook on Nextcloud or Mastodon, and then she is using Windows Recall, and every picture is green.
Why do you do this to me? Every time I think there's a way out, you're going to come back to me with, like, another one of these horrors. Is that a thing now? Is that actually rolled out? Again, I haven't used Windows in years, so, except for that one time where I was too lazy to get out of my chair, but...
Yeah, the last time I looked at it, I think that they rolled it back, and they are saying that, no, we are not doing this. Please trust us. Please trust us again.
Yeah.
But it's
Pretty
just...
please.
One flick of a switch and it's back again, because you don't have any control what happens on your PC, because you are the digital sharecropper now on your laptop and your phones too. But another, to the original question that what can a listener do right now is move to Signal. That's pretty much the most straightforward solution. If you are using WhatsApp or Facebook or something to chat with your friends, you have your friends' phone numbers. Move to Signal. Then you have end-to-end encrypted chatting that is stored securely. And remember to use the disappearing messages, that your friend's phone is stolen and then your 20 years of your chat messages is again somewhere fed to the AI. But if you put everything is disappearing in 4 weeks, then we are a lot more protected.
But then, yes, I agree. Yes, please, dear viewer, do that. But we still don't have a solution for the poor young single guy. We don't have it. Like, Mastodon, I feel like that's the strongest one. But what does that guy do? Does he just suck it up? Plant them taters?
He will start date at school where she knows the people face to face.
Yeah, that's actually another thing, isn't it? Well, I suppose, it's more of a social commentary, but the death of community, what the what the social media is doing now is simply just what like people would know you, like in the community that you grew up in, like people would know you, they could ask other people about you, and that's
Yeah.
gone now, and so you have to rely on this digital sharecropping
And the big
for
topic
love.
about and the big about that digital sharecropping in that sense is that Zuckerberg is your landlord. He will decide what rules are allowed on your farm. Will you be shadow banned? Will you be censored? Will you be banned for liking stupid stuff? Or what topics you are not allowed to discuss and so on? The landlord is deciding everything here. And yeah, that's something that is a bit mitigated. No, we come back to that if you put your Mastodon for your friends, then you are the landlord who is deciding what is allowed to be talked
Yes.
about.
Yes.
But
I am the Zuck now. I can put the terms of service now in front of your face while blinking like this.
but it's more federated. It's not giving one person the power to rule over 2 billion people or how many Facebook users there are now.
I feel like there's got to be a solution out there already for this kind of thing. Like some layer on top of Mastodon or something similar to Mastodon, a fork of it or something like that. I'll have a look. Maybe we can bring it up
Yeah.
in an episode. But that's a problem that has to be solved, you know. Ideally, we would bring back community in the old way, but until then, people need a solution. Right now, it's, you know, the girl can scroll through your, or guy, you know, can scroll through your, or it's not kind of the same the other way around. I think generally be women that are more cautious, but you need to have that replacement for the prospective girlfriend to scroll through your Instagram and see that you're not nuts.
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic to bring up in this discussion because the current landscape is that you need to give Facebook, you need to be a sharecropper on Facebook that you can get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
What are some closed ecosystems that people are most trapped in right now?
What, you mean apart from everything? Well, it depends on what you mean by trapped, but if we're going to assume that the person has no technical ability whatsoever, they're going to be trapped in the proprietary software in their phone, their computer. It's going to be probably the Amazon Alexa that they have in their house that they don't even know is like doing the kinds of stuff that it's doing. Google Home, you know, definitely if you work at a place, you know, you're trapped in proprietary ecosystems there. You know, probably you're a console gamer. That's a really This is, I mean, again, it's a bit of a Oh, yeah, absolutely. But also just, you know, that whole ecosystem, you know, they do, I can't remember. I think I heard that PlayStation is either talking about or now doing dynamic pricing, you know, for digital games. Yeah. You know what that is, right?
Yeah, I know. The last console I had was a Wii U.
Wow. That's a while back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Gaming on Linux. Do it. For the viewer, again, it's another tangent, but if you're if you're a PC gamer and you're on Windows, those Windows games will run faster on Linux on the same machine. I swear to God. I've seen this happen. I've done the comparison.
Yeah.
So yeah, switch to Linux.
We have not done any episode about Proton, but yes, you can you don't need Windows anymore to play on Windows games.
I'm recording the podcast on SteamOS.
Yes. How does this digital sharecropping idea change the way we think about social media?
Well, I think everyone knows, you know, not everyone's going to know that analogy. I mean, I just found that out 20 minutes ago, but I think everyone knows at this point that they are the product. You know, I hear people repeating that slogan. If it's free, you're the product. And I think people know that.
I think they know it, but they don't understand it really.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, is this is there a normie really watching this right now?
Yes, every normie will watch our episode.
Okay, thanks guys. I'm going to do my makeup in a minute. You're going to love it.
Yeah, so I think it's a very good analogy. Like I said, that it goes very nicely with our podcast name and idea. And yeah, I will definitely keep that in mind because I never made the connection that it's digital sharecropping. And yeah, like I always knew that we are feeding the beast, not in a religious sense, but do you think most people even realize that they are basically working for free for the platforms?
I would say no.
Not.
Yeah, I would say no. I think they certainly wouldn't realize that all of the manual work that they were doing, tagging people in pictures and stuff all those years ago, was also literally labor for these companies. I think though at a point we're at a level of apathy where people just don't care. There's this there's this sense of impending doom everywhere now, and I feel like people, they don't even think about.
Yeah. And I was thinking it's the inverse of what you said previously. You said that you get the product for free because you are the product. But it's different that they are selling your data, that you are working for them.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily the inverse, it's just, several inches deeper.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And well, I mean, it's an inverse that way, that you get the product for free, but no, you are the laborer for Zuckerberg.
Yep.
Zuckerberg is not watching your pictures. Zuckerberg is just feeding the AI with it and selling your picture.
Yeah, I can just kind of imagine that AI now just like flicking through those pictures like, yeah.
Yeah. Is there a way big platforms could ever become fair? Or is the whole model broken by design?
Well, I mean, I don't think you take something like Facebook's, Instagram's backends, and immediately, it would be a lot of work. I would imagine all of this nonsense is built so deep into all of their back-end architectures that the answer it could be yes, but it wouldn't be simple. But then again, you would need something in order to replace it. You would need something that's federated, decentralized, blah blah blah. All those nice tech bro words. And yeah, I couldn't give you an answer. I mean, I could just say Mastodon again, but as you already took the wind out of my sails a moment ago, then even that's not going to be enough, because they still got to trust me, and I could get hit by a bus. And
Yeah, but like that's a very interesting question. I don't have an answer either. But that the whole thing, when Zuckerberg started it, is to sell the data that the sharecroppers produce. I don't see any other way to make money in the system.
I've got a feeling it's possible that he just started it as a fun project and then realized that that was possible later. But yeah, wouldn't really matter either way.
Yeah, but well, yeah, could be. But like nowadays, the whole point of the social media is to feed the AI and the algorithm. Like that's why they are providing it for free for us. So I don't know how it could be not broken by design. How would not exploitative social media function? Like,
well, let's break down the problem statement a little bit, shall we? Okay, so we want something that is analogous to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, blah blah blah, but we want it to be ours, right? And so what that means is that I expect that it would have to be some kind of decentralized system, first of all, but also you need a way of sharing the value itself, because what is it? Is it going to be free? Are you paying a fee to everyone in order to stay in there? Are you sharing computing power? Those are all questions that need to be answered. And who is the overseer? Is the overseer some AI model, perhaps? How do you do content moderation? Do you create a marketplace for content moderation? And if you do, again, how are people paying? Are they paying in computing power? Are they paying by mining crypto or some nonsense?
Yeah, it sounds like this works only when there is that Zuckerberg being as a landlord.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Well, so if we take something like that I mentioned in the news episode, like the Yggdrasil network, right, and you're hosting stuff yourself, right? If you have some kind of standard, for user interface stuff like that, like a repeatable standard that people are serving from their own hardware, and we'll assume that it's so straightforward that non-technically minded people can do it. Maybe there's something there, because you could pull out your own self-hosted Yggdrasil-based domain that is a cookie-cutter template of this wider social media standard, and prospective lover boy could pull that out and show the potential future girlfriend, your kayaking trips and stuff like that, and no bodies in the basement. But this is so pie in the sky hypothetical. But it could be like that, because then you wouldn't require any value, right? You could just pool together a handle that is maybe tied to an IPv6 address. You could pool handles together, and then you could get a news feed, because everyone's basically just serving to each other.
Yeah, exactly. But
Maybe.
then we are,
I'm talking out of my ass, by the way. I have no idea
yeah.
how such a thing could work, but
But then we
yeah,
come
but
back.
if there's a way that you can host that computing power yourself, that you don't rely on anyone else for the compute necessary to make it happen, and it's done in such a way that it's, it doesn't require any knowledge or trust or whatever, and that you could simplify it to the point where a handle just maps to an IPv6 address, well, maybe that could work. But that's the best I've got. You asked me, and that's all I can give you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but then we come like you say that it's just one click and it's running, but it's still people need to know where to store it and when to how to do backups and like the that social media is so simple to use to the end user is a very big hurdle in this.
Well, I don't know. I mean, could this? It strikes me that it's more conceivable that you could automate that other stuff, like where it's stored and stuff like that. You could sell a special device that's designed to work as a kind of network accessible storage, and you just switch it on and plug it in, and you have some simple way of, maybe a QR code, I don't know. I feel like almost all of these kinds of things can be simplified to a point where it's a push of a button. It's just the man hours necessary to make it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it happen with collecting all of your private data forever.
Yeah, but they had government funding because the seed money funding. The money men saw the potential on getting the data, but there will not be seed money for this kind of projects.
Much more, well, okay, sure, but much more complicated things have been done where there wasn't even an expectation to make any money out of it in the end. Entire industries held up by random projects that a guy does in his basement
Yeah,
because he likes
yeah,
it. I think, I've worked on stuff where we're using the embedded template library, right? So it's a replacement for C++'s standard template library. And the reason why you might want to use it is because, memory allocation and stuff like that can be a bit funky with C++'s standard template library, but it's discrete and well known when you're implementing something with ETL, embedded template library. And I'm pretty sure that's just a guy that does it because he thinks it's cool.
yeah. And
There's
of course, the
industry software do it, like working off of that.
FMPEG also is one example of that kind of.
FFFFmpeg.
Yeah, the whole world is running on FMPEG, and it's one guy.
Yeah, so maybe it's a bit more hopeful than you're thinking. Then maybe these are engineering problems that can be solved. And if something like FFmpeg or embedded template library or the innumerable other things can be done by just an enthusiast, maybe it's something that can be done when there's a bit expectation of just a little bit of money at the end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's still the normie needs to be on board.
The normie needs to be on board, yes, but again, the normie, what are you going to tell the normie? If you care about these things and avenues are open for you to simplify doing it, that's still a good thing, even if there's some normie that doesn't realize that they're being effed in the A.
Yeah.
You reduce the friction, or you widen the space and more will flow, right? Like you just reduce the friction and the rivers flow in the direction that you want with a higher current and all of that. It's all about pressing your thumb on the scales. So it wouldn't really concern me that not everyone would get on board at least right away. But then again, even computers were a thing at a time where the normie wouldn't know anything about it because they didn't have to. But it could very well be some time in the future where, like, again, I think I mentioned in the previous episode, the proliferation of AI or something leads to something quite scary, and all of a sudden you have this influx of normies that care about this kind of stuff, that want to know how they can, have their own farm instead of being a sharecropper. And then what happens? There's seed money for that. Seed money will come in because people know that they can make money off of it. Maybe not quite the same money that they can make from funding a digital nightmare, but where a market opens up, the services will be provided. So you may be being a bit too doomer. I don't know.
Maybe. That's actually a bit of a side tangent for listeners to think about. I think the meme that I sent you, that like 2000, only the nerds and the rich kids were online. But now the whole of humanity is online. And that changes a lot of what is produced on the internet. Just a
No, there's a lot more dumb shit now, for sure.
yeah, just a food for thought that only a small margin of humanity was online 30 years ago, and it's not so anymore.
Yeah, and so to counter your previous point, only a small margin of humanity right now are, open source dick riders like we are, but some point in the future, if something attractive enough appears, then, or at least something scary enough appears that pushes you in that direction, then that could change too.
Yeah, if the lawmakers don't make it impossible in the meantime.
I don't think, I mean, there's certain things that can be regulated, like what's allowed to go on a road, right? But you can't regulate maths.
Well, your government keeps trying to ban end-to-end encryption.
Yeah, sure. And they're going to fail because, at the end of the day, I still have the hardware. There are still ways of circumventing all of these. They brought in the Online Safety Act, and what did people, who had a few IQ points around do? They just use the VPN. It's an arms race, and it will end, I don't think it can end with total control because no one wants it. A government has to exist because its people actually want them to do stuff, or enough of the people want them to do stuff. A lot of people shit on the kinds of stuff that the Chinese government does, but people in China like what their government's doing, so they have a mandate to continue to exist. The UK, most of the UK is not happy with the way things are going digitally, and I really don't think that, I don't think a government can continue pushing along such uneven terrain. So I would be more hopeful, but you of course, being a hopeless doomer,
Well,
I disagree.
you opened so many cans of worms now that let's not go further down that path now. Maybe in the future episodes. But what's one closed platform that you personally still use, even though you know better?
Facebook.
You're actively using Facebook.
Yeah, I'll scroll through it while taking a shit. It has a camera feed of me going.
Yeah, all the Facebook spying that we covered in the data brokers episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 30% me shitting.
Yeah, like interesting. Like, I think I logged last time on my Facebook feed like 10 years ago or so. I didn't delete it. I'm not sure why, but I have not logged into it many years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, dear viewer, hopefully by now you've realized that I'm slow to embrace these kinds of changes. But yeah, I don't use Google like for pretty much anything anymore, unless there's something that requires one of my old Google accounts and I can't get away from it. But I still use Facebook, as I said. Sometimes I'll take a look at Instagram. I don't use TikTok anymore because I got a bit freaked out when I saw something about that they can use like emotional cues from your face. I don't know how true this is anymore, but emotional cues from your face to like recommend stuff. And then when I looked at the file size for TikTok, it was like 1.4 gigabytes or something.
What?
Like for the executable on my phone. And I'm like, hang on, this is just supposedly a thin client that's serving me short videos, and it needs to be 1.4 gigabytes, really? So I took that out of my life. But yeah, I still use Facebook, sometimes Instagram, sometimes Reddit. But yeah, I'm on a journey, trust me, dear listener, but I'm pretty slow. I'm sorry.
TikTok is actually a perfect example about the new generation of sharecropping, because it doesn't work. You cannot access TikTok without an account. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. And people keep sending me TikToks and I just can't open them anymore because I nuked the app and I don't want to sign into it again.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I might end up deleting my Facebook, though, after these last couple of episodes with you just beating the reality into me. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, that's a good solution. You should end your Facebook so that you don't delete the account. You just put your favorite New Homesteaders episode as your last post and say goodbye, and then leave the account open.
Maybe I'll put the special when we finally do it. The special, yeah.
Last question. If a friend told you that they don't care about any of this because it's too much work, what would you reply?
Can we add some specifics? Do you mean just getting away from social media, something like that? What do you mean? There's not enough.
I would see this question pretty much about the digital sharecropping.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm like I get my news feed for free. Why would I care for anything more?
So, I mean, I could say things and they could continue to say I don't care, but one of the things that I might say is that, you're feeding a machine that may one day become hostile to you and you don't know that. But then again, that's so tinfoiler sounding that,
You sent him the lawsuit from Google from the previous episode that Google is feeding Gemini all your email history.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it depends on the perspective of the person that I'm listening to, right?
Yeah.
So they might be, I don't know, somewhat left-wing inclined. So I might talk about, this is a big business and you are feeding them very valuable data about yourself, right? Or, it could be a software engineer that's one of those, those software engineers where they're using like Mac all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could probably appeal to their sensibilities in software engineering, maybe. But again, that's a really hard one. I mean, how would you do that if somebody says I don't care? I don't know how to answer that question. Generally, if somebody says I don't care, I just give up and move on.
Yeah, that's pretty much what my experience has been also, that I try to, for example, talk about the analogy from our previous episode. So we recorded them back to back. So that's we keep going back to the previous episode. Watch it is about that you are not playing with your own life. You are betting your friends and families and children's lives, that you know what hundreds of multi-billion-dollar multinational companies will do in 20 years. And that's I don't see any point in that kind of bet. Like, why would you do that kind of bet ever? And that's why you should care.
Yeah.
But still, like so many say that, yeah, I know that I'm feeding the beast. I know that my children will be trapped in the system from when they were born. We were not. We were born before internet. But our children are trapped in the system from the moment they are born. And it's very worrying why people still say they don't care. And they are like betting their children's lives on it.
Well, it's worrying, sure, but I feel like I understand why. It's a huge mental load to suddenly take on reality.
Yeah.
And it is a lot easier to just sort of...
They want to live like this, and they
Yeah.
just close their eyes and say that, the world still works like this, and I know it doesn't work like that, but if I close my eyes, I can wish for it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be too out of touch. I don't want to shit on people too much that still think this way. Many people, they have plenty of things to worry about in their own lives, and to add this on top is quite a load.
Yeah.
Like, they might be going through a divorce, their children might be sick, blah, blah, blah.
Or
To an extent, this feels like quite a distant problem, even though it isn't, even though it's sat in your pocket. It does feel kind of distant, I think, to most people.
Exactly, because this is a geopolitical issue and not a personal one. And I think this goes against in a different philosophy. But how do you see the world changes on do you care about this issue or not? If you are such a close-minded person that you cannot see anything that happens like one person away from you, that you only see yourself, it will never affect you that Facebook has all your photos, and that you see ads based on your photos, that you see targeted ads. It doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand what I mean?
Not quite. Rephrase.
That if I see the world so that Zuckerberg has the power to get billions of euros or dollars from our pictures, and he can decide what people can talk about, what people can see. He can pretty much decide the reality of people who are only on Facebook. But
well, that's kind of the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there was that experiment where they made people sad.
Yes.
Whatever it was.
Yeah. People who only see, hey, I'm working now, I get paid, and then I watch a movie, and that's my life. They don't have a concept about this kind of things, because they cannot see the world like further from himself. There is this.
Yeah, I suppose so. I have met many people that live like that.
Yeah,
and
me
are
too.
Concerned about such things, but have basically learned helplessness. Like, what am I going to do? And you could say, you could tell people how to, change their software setup and all of that, but they just see this wall of complexity in front of them. And to an extent, they're kind of right.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, those are different persons who see it and they are learned helplessness. I mean, those who are incapable of seeing the world.
Yeah, maybe. It's difficult to step inside somebody's mind and really know, but yeah, maybe some people just can't see it.
Yeah, but that's pretty much what we have for today.
Yeah, how depressing.